The hexagram is an ancient symbol found in Arabic, Islamic, Jewish, and Masonic buildings, coins, rings, talismans, and other artifacts. It consists of two interlocking triangles forming a six-pointed star and is called both the Seal of Solomon and the Star of David. Here we see a few of its typical uses. Stamped upon a Moroccan coin, adorning a Muslim tomb, a window in a Masonic lodge, and most recognizable perhaps in our time, a symbol for the State of Israel. But in this video, we are interested in the symbol in connection with the native wildflower, Polygonatum biflorum, with the common name Solomon's seal. There are many species of Polygonatum throughout the world. In North America, the most common species is Polygonatum biflorum, or smooth Solomon's seal, and is found in the eastern, southern, and plains states, mostly in the wild, but also in shaded gardens where native plants are admired. But how did the genus get its distinctive common name? The most common explanation offered is that the hexagram can be seen either in cross-section of the roots or within the underground root scars left from previous year's stalks, as in this from Pennsylvania State University. The circular stem scars on the rhizome are supposedly the source of this plant's common name, Solomon's seal. But when one consults the historical sources, confidence in the idea that the roots have anything to do with the name evaporates quickly. The famous 19th century botanist and publisher Thomas Meehan, for example, had this to say about the name Solomon's seal in his review of Polygonatum biflorum of 1898. The origin of this common name is wrapped in obscurity. There is a six-pointed or star-like figure formed of two equilateral triangles placed over each other so as to make a star-like outline, and which is known as Solomon's seal. To account for the term in connection with this plant, commentators tell us that when the underground rootstock is cut across, the outline represents this figure. However, Meehan concludes, every effort to trace such a figure on a transverse section has failed so far as the experience of the author goes. The roots with their scars from annual stem growth are a defining feature of this plant as shown in this early German botanical drawing. Although the root scars look like wax seals or perhaps rings for sealing purposes, there is no form even remotely relating to the hexagram for which the plant is named. One of the earliest and most quoted of botanists, the 16th century Englishman John Gerard, changed his mind between successive editions of his monumental Herbal, or General History of Plants. The 1597 edition makes the suggestion, usually cited by modern authors, namely, the root is white and thick, full of knobs of joints, which in some places resemble the mark of a seal, whereof I think it took the name Sigillum Solomonis. But in Gerard's 1636 edition of the Herbal, we get a different interpretation. Dioscorides writeth that the roots are excellent good for to seal or close up green wounds being stamped and laid thereon, whereupon it was called Sigillum Solomonis, of the singular virtue that it hath in sealing or healing up wounds, broken bones, and such like. Some have thought it took the name sigillum of the marks upon the roots, but the first reason seems to be more probable. So, from a seal with which one might close or stamp a letter or official document, to a poultice that seals a fresh wound, John Gerard radically reinterpreted the supposed derivation of the common name for Polygonatum. However, still missing is the hexagram or any reason for linking the plant to King Solomon. Photographing this species for a series on the native plants of the upper Mississippi, I was, like Meehan and Gerard, unconvinced of there being any part of the root, on the surface or in cross-section, patterns reminiscent of Solomon's seal or the Star of David. But then, when imaging the flower close up and from beneath, the photoscan showed a six-pointed flower with distinctive white tips, immediately recognizable as the hexagram, with the central spot that the seal often also contains. Additionally, the small flowers are actually quite stiff and make an acceptable stamp as shown here, producing the hexagram on paper. Quite contented I was initially to conclude this essay with the last observation, and suggest that the various species known worldwide as Solomon's seal perhaps got their name not from depressions on or cross sections of the roots, as is generally held, but from the flowers and their suggestive morphology. But a final image search on Solomon's seal brought an unexpected twist. On the walls of Jerusalem's Old City, built by Turkish Sultan Suleiman in 1535, are several seals of Solomon. Suleiman is Arabic for Solomon, and perhaps these reliefs are to honor the Sultan as well as his biblical namesake, King Solomon, who is a prophet for followers of Islam. Each relief has not only an outer, purely geometric hexagram, but an inner one as well, described by the outline of all things, a flower head. Here's another seal from the wall, this time from the Jaffa Gate. Again, note the outside and inside hexagrams, the latter with a decided floral motif. And here is a third example, likewise with a geometric outer hexagram circumscribing an inner floral form. All the inner hexagrams are clearly botanically inspired, but this one in particular has a form with which we are familiar, the flower of Polygonatum. Any equally distanced six-pointed object can be said to resemble Solomon's seal. Here's a snowflake, for example. But what is remarkable with the Solomon's seals represented on the old Turkish wall of Jerusalem is that they have botanical motifs at all. Why are they depicted with floral forms at their centers and leaf-like designs at the periphery? Why aren't these hexagrams purely geometrical? Does the seal itself take its origin from a plant with important medicinal or other properties? This question is beyond the purpose of this report, but let us at least summarize what we have discovered. We have learned that the roots of Polygonatum, although they have seal-like depressions, have no markings of the hexagram, contradicting what one reads in botanical references and across the internet. As much was acknowledged by John Gerard in his Herbal of 1636. There, Gerard gave two possible explanations for how Solomon's seal received its name. From marks upon the roots to the explanation he thought more reasonable that the roots are excellent to seal green wounds. However, one need not travel far to find a hexagram associated with Polygonatum. The stiff, stamp-like flower strongly resembles the seal of Solomon, especially with its white-tipped petals and central pistil and stamens. It can even stamp out the pattern on paper. But does the flower mimic the seal and hence acquire its name? Or might the seal be taken from the flower?